I love you. So we have time to squeeze everything in today. Let's get started. Yes, indeed. So Mark POULTON will be joining us shortly, but I did want to show the trailer to some of his former campaigns, which are still going. Not exactly formal.
Little Type 1.
Hello.
Howdy, Rex.
Yes.
Ooh, scary pizza.
Yeah, scary pizza. Haunted pizza.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And another one from Mark that we will hopefully get him to talk about is this one right here, Wrath and Pain.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I think that one ended already. I'm not positive.
I'll say. No end date. It's still going on Fund My Comet. Just to let you know, Shadow Hunt. Just to let you know.
Oh, okay. Good. I wasn't sure if it had ended yet or not.
Yep.
I know it's been up for a little while now.
Of course, the one we will be looking at today is this. USAssassin 4 Dogs of War final trailer. Okay.
Cool.
This is the mercenary, Flip Gordon. And I hope you guys are ready for the biggest U.S. assassin adventure yet.
Dogs of war, you know we going hard. We on a mission to find Bazooka Dog. U.S. assassin, so I hope you ready. Never know what can happen, but it's gonna be deadly. Snakes everywhere, trust nobody. Going all out, it's time to get rowdy. The kilted Avenger, Roddy Piper is rolling too. The biggest adventure yet, come and join the crew. The mercenary and raider, the search and rescue dog. Putting in the work, you know that they on the job. Traveling the listeners, Bazooka has made some new friends. Sea Dog and Viking Wolf. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy.
No clips, no pistol whips, just fast wits, sharp focus, and the venomous spit. The Dilophosaurus, are you with us or not for us? Dare to choose the ladder, flip will turn you to a blood splatter. Choices matter, brother, up with the spangled banner. Star stripes, assassins, and resurrected wrestlers. Oh, this is Piper's Pit, so pipe down, you don't wanna feel that sniper's hit. I stand tall, dropping rounds on the enemy lines, with no fear, cause there's a bazooka strapped to my canine.
rowdy. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. The biggest adventure yet. Never know what to expect. Let's go.
Mark Poulton has officially been. How's it going, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Man. Hey, Shadowhawk. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's
no
it's a
problem.
pleasure, brother. Yeah, we like having new people on. Now I had showed Type 1 and Wrath and Pain before you jumped on, and so you got like 3 active campaigns up on Fund My Comic. Have you kind of exclusively went over there, or?
No, I'm still doing Indiegogo. We're launching the next Graveyard Shift book over on Indiegogo. Just with my own books, I want to I don't know, try something different. I've done I've done Fund My Comics before with Writhe and Pain. Type 1 is Sean Arendt's book that I'm publishing for him. And I've had campaigns going on at the same time, Indiegogo and Fund My Comic. With USAssassin, I just wanted to do solely Fund My Comic for now.
Have you done Kickstarter? Cool. I'm just wondering.
I have in the past. I don't really like the platform compared to Indiegogo and Fund My Comic.
Yeah. Right. How'd you end up on Kickstarter, Mark? Was it decent or?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the best. I mean, I started doing Kickstarter way back in the day.
Right.
But before like this whole crowdfunding movement started, and I was really new to it, so it wasn't. It wasn't like how it is today with the support I've built up from Graveyard Shift.
I want to take you down memory lane a little here. Here's from USAssassin 2.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
Did you win that at the auction, Rex?
I did. Yep. Here's
very cool.
I won 5 pages.
Yeah, that's awesome.
From issues 1 and 2. So let me just separate them here. All right. So just different pages from. There's another page from 2, and then we have the dog of the hour, I guess, on this one, right? Bazooka Dog.
Yeah.
That's going to be a key part in this story.
Yeah.
And there's your lizard representation for today, Lorenzo. But very, very cool stuff. Which you've been working with Mike a while, haven't you?
Yeah, Mike and we've been friends for a long time. We met on the Rob Liefeld message boards in the early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
This one had a cover sheet, so I just left that on there. Great. This is from issue 1, page 8, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Todd McFarlane,
Yeah.
Yeah. On that one.
Oh, yeah. That's volume 2 as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this one here.
That's volume 1.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think I got 2 pages from 1 and 3 from 2. But
nice.
Yeah, very nice.
That's cool. Which auction were you on? Red Valkyrie on that one, Rex? Or?
Yeah, it might have been a Red Valkyrie auction actually. It might have been. We did Critical Blast auction too, charity auction for kids.
Oh, that's right. Remember. Yeah, I forgot about that. We did do one with RJ.
Yeah. I don't know if Mike was on there with us or not. But
I'm pretty sure I got some of Mike's around here somewhere too, but I'm not sure where.
You probably do, Mister. You're quite the collector. You've backed like 400 campaigns over. How many campaigns are you up to now, Shadowhawk? Hey, Trey.
It's 400 on 402, I think, on Indiegogo, 27 on FMC so far, and 1 Kickstarter.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I've also been in most of the auctions over the last 5 years, trying to win stuff. I don't always win, but I win quite a bit.
Yeah, you've gotten some good return, I would say. My bulldog Sweet Pea wants a bazooka, Burkholder says.
I want a dog with a bazooka. Who doesn't?
Now, Mark, you started out, right? I mean, on your little bio, you started out. I mean, that's how your company name came about. You're in New Jersey. Are you pretty close to Ethan?
Oh yeah. I've been over his house. We've had lunch before.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, I was doing a signing at my local comic shop, and Ethan walked through the door, and he was like,
wow.
I didn't know you lived around here, and I was like, yeah, and he invited me over. We had pizza. So we live pretty close to each other.
Was the pizza haunted?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, haunted pizza. Now, back in 2017, right, Mark, you and your 7-year-old son, Chase, wrote and published all ages horror graphic novel, Pizza Tree.
Yeah.
And you started your own company with that. So you're called Haunted Pizza. And that's kind of how that came about, huh?
Yeah. So we did I'd worked in comics for about a decade prior to that. I did work with Arcana Studio, Image, DC. But in 2017, my son and I, we did the book Pizza Tree, and we started getting some interest from Hollywood. And I was like, oh, we better make this, official and make it a business. So we decided to LLC our company. And when we were thinking of a name, I didn't want to just do like Pizza Tree LLC. I wanted something because I figured we would do more comics together, but I wanted something pizza related. So I thought Haunted Pizza would be the greatest way to go. Except my bank always, whenever I go into my bank for banking purposes, they always ask me if I deliver, and I'm like, I'm not a real pizza place. I make books, but I'll deliver them to you if you want to purchase them from me.
On one of your campaigns, you're going to have a pizza box,
printed. Pizza box set, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, use that. We deliver.
Could I get a USAssassin 4 with double pepperoni and cheese?
Do you like writing horror?
I do.
A little bit of horror. What's your jam, and what'd you get to write over at the different companies? What type of things did they allot out to you?
Yeah, a lot of my I think like my favorite stuff tends to have horror influences in it. So I made my start doing creator-owned book, Coney Waves. It was published by Arcana Studio. I recently brought it back through Haunted Pizza, but that was a horror series, and that got notice of Rob Liefeld, who growing up he was my hero. I wanted to make comics like him, have my own company. Actually, I didn't want to have my own company. I wanted to work for him, and I got the opportunity. I worked for him on Evangeline, which I got to again use my horror influences on that, and Rob was real happy with my work on Evangeline. And during the New 52, he was doing a bunch of books for DC. He was doing Hawk and Dove, Grifter.
Does he have a love for Hawk and Dove? Because he really started out with Hawk and Dove over there at DC. That was one of his early limited series that he did in the 80s. Does he have a affinity for the Hawk and Dove, I guess?
Yeah, I think so, especially since he created the current version of Dove.
The female version. Yeah.
So I know he's always like proud of all his.
I guess Steve Ditko probably created the first Hawk and Dove. He was the first to work on it. Hey, Hen.
Rob took me over to DC with him, and I got to script Hawkman. Rob did the story. I did the script. We had Joe Bennett and Art T. Bear as our art team.
Oh,
And
very
sweet.
nice.
What a dream team for me to work with.
Yeah,
Liefeld,
great.
Bennett, T. Bear, all all favorites of mine.
Yeah. And
Now
Art's
you
just
were kind of
such a
into the
sweetheart, too.
image jam, right? The 90s stuff, I guess, like a
Yeah.
Shadowhawk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like the very first book, the book that brought me into comic books was G.I. Joe. But from G.I. Joe, I started reading like Marvel and DC, and like with Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. That's the first time I really took notice to the people who were making the books, because their art just like stood out to me. So when I heard they were starting their own company, of course I had to follow them over to Image and pick up everything they were putting out. And then
Well, we were talking about this yesterday. What attracted you? Was it the art or the writing? It's really a visual media, isn't it? And art attracts you.
Yeah, it art for me. Yeah.
Hey, Missy.
Hey, Missy. As even though I'm a writer, I'm a fan of the art first. If the artwork doesn't pull me in, I don't know if I would give the book a chance. And these guys were the top of their field at the time. They were the hottest artists. And Rob, I always loved Rob's artwork. I know he's polarizing to people, but for me, I loved it. I could see the manga anime influences, the early Art Adam influences that he had in his artwork back in the day. All that spoke to me. All the gear, the characters were kitted up with the pouches, the backpack, the weaponry. Yeah. It just looked awesome. There was a
really good character design, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was a rumor back in the 90s that Rob was going to get the license to G.I. Joe. And I know he's done G.I. Joe like a few years ago, but back then, like during his height, I would have loved to have seen his designs for G.I. Joe, how they would all been, kitted up with the pouches and the and the gear. It would have been incredible.
Right. So, I mean, really, this is your G.I. Joe, this fantasy, right? Yeah.
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 Yeah. This is my Rob Liefeld version of G.I. Joe.
Right. Okay. Well, have you talked to Rob? I mean, and said, "Hey, I'm doing it," or anything since then? I mean, to let him.
Yeah, I've talked to Rob a few times. He's aware of like the success John and I had with Graveyard Shift, because John and I were both working for Rob at the same time.
Well, what's the verdict, King?
Hey, Fanta.
Hey, what's up, Fanta? So yeah, he's aware of like what I've been doing, and I always credit him and tell him like he was the biggest influence on my career. So yeah, he's definitely aware, and I would like to say I think he's a fan of what we're doing. I know he loved.
Also planted that seed of entrepreneurship in you with the blowing up of the Image success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to like everything he did at Image, like the products he would put out, like even like his company had bomber jackets with like the Extreme logo, hats, the t-shirts. I want that type of merchandising too. I just everything he did back then, I just thought was the coolest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were doing some of the things that we can do in crowdfunding now, right? I mean, it's not just about the books. It's about the hats, the t-shirts, the keychains, the stickers, the magnets, the trading cards, or whatever you want to produce, the toys.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat to watch some of these campaigns, and what they offer. And then of course, what do you think is the future of crowdfunding? I mean, is it, I kind of like a central wheelhouse, I hate the shadow banning that happens, of course, but I like that we all kind of come together on one platform, but I also see individual websites and other things too, that your crowd kind of will follow you.
It's tough. I know a lot of people are creating their own sites, but I agree. I like that, when everyone was over at Indiegogo, because I like window shop. I would just like scan through campaigns and find campaigns I was never aware of. With the shadow banning, you miss out on a lot of projects that you normally would be excited about.
Who's Timothy saying? He'd love to have on his book, Melvin, Rob Liefeld to do a cover. Is there an artist that you have not worked with yet that you'd like to work with? You probably got a top 10 list, right?
Man, so I've been very fortunate. I've had Rob do covers for books I've worked on. Graveyard Shift, we've had Ethan Van Sciver, Shane Davis do covers. I had a George Perez cover for my book Loose Threads.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah. That was one of the last things he did, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it was his very last cover.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sure. I would love.
I'm older than you, Mark. So it's really George Perez doing the Avengers, that his artwork that drew me to buy Avengers 147, and then 2 weeks later when I went back, just out of the mix, I didn't even know it was the second, the follow-up issue. I didn't know comics did work like a soap opera, and they were like cliffhangers, and had different months and different issues. I didn't know that yet, and his artwork, and I like big groups like you're doing with this title.
Yeah.
It just drew me in. The more characters, the better. And so I got the next issue, 148. And so it was George Perez that really kind of drew me in. Although I'd, bought a Marvel Monster magazine with Morbius in it. And I'd bought a Werewolf by Night annual. And I'd gotten some other comics from my neighbor who had broke a leg and was reading them, and decided to sell them. And but I didn't know really how comics worked, and then when the 90s came around and I saw stuff at Blockbuster and they started showing some of the old cartoons, it's like, wow, those are my first exposure. Before I ever picked up a comic, it was cartoons.
Yeah.
That I'd totally forgotten about, that I'd watched when I was very young. Though Marvel cartoons, of course you had Space Ghost and stuff like that. That's when I was extremely young, but I remember it so well, and Super Friends, of course, during the 70s. And I know it was different for you because you're a different age group. It's like G.I. Joe and Thundercats and, all those.
Yeah, very similar story. So I was a G.I. Joe fan. I had the toys. I watched the cartoon. And one day while I was watching, they ran a commercial for the toy line, and they did it perfectly. It started off with an animated clip, and then it went into the two kids recreating that scene with the toys. And then it said, for more, G.I. Joe, check out Marvel Comics issue number whatever. And I was like, what? There's a G.I. Joe comic book? I need this. Because I needed everything G.I. Joe at that time. So I had my mom take me to our local shopping mall, and there was a Walden bookstore that was selling comics on a spinner rack, and they had G.I. Joe. So she bought it for me. I cut out the little subscription box in the back, and I got a year worth of G.I. Joe. But just
how dare you?
I know, cutting up my comic books. I have since then gone back and replaced that one because I still have a full run of.
Well, I remember. I think the first G.I. Joe issue was like on a special paper, like Baxter paper or something. That was the prestige format, the direct market. I had no idea. I actually, when I was in 17 in high school, with another guy that was much older than me, by my senior for, I guess it may be 20 years. I'm not sure. He maybe not that long, but we there for a short time. Marvel had just released Dazzler #1, their first direct market book. And I remember because I had to back order it, and order it with issue 2. So I got in right at the beginning of the direct market, and I saw a lot of, the prestige format, but I had no idea that it would kill the spinner racks and the distribution that have been around for decades, since the 30s, and no kid can go into a grocery store or pharmacy or something like that and discover the wonderful world of comics anymore.
Yeah.
That's so the model's changing, and I guess crowdfunding, is great, seeing other people do it, and getting a direct speak to your base, your customer, and putting together, campaign. I guess that's a big major of the, boost to the indies, since the Marvel and DC doesn't seem to be capitalizing on a lot of the fandom nowadays. It's becoming, I hate to see the pie shrinking, because back in the 80s, it was like more about the creators when you went to conventions. Not so much anymore.
No. Yeah, I think that's one of the things with crowdfunding, why it's so successful is, the personal connections you're making with these people who, you're directly sending the product to them, but you're communicating with them over the time of the campaign. A lot of us have YouTube channels, and we're hanging out with them every week, a couple times a week.
Yeah, or in Discord or somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, we're building those relationships. And that's like you said, that's something that's really missing from the mainstream. The mainstream creators almost seem like they want to distance themselves from the fans.
Yeah. I mean,
that's been a big job for me with CG is, I can send an email to Ethan and he'll usually answer me right back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, most of us can spare a little time, right? I mean, a little bit of time. So are you, where did you launch? Did you launch on Bancross, or where did you launch this?
Yeah, we launched the campaign on Bancross channel. We had a dual launch. We launched with Nicholas Gear's Relentless Tin Soldier. Nicholas is a friend of mine and Mike's, and he asked if he could do a crossover with USAssassin. So his story actually picks up right after volume 4 of USAssassin. So we thought it made perfect sense to launch together.
Yeah, we
had him on a little less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
He's pretty close. He's pretty close. He's pretty close to me. He's down Texas. I'm in Arkansas.
Okay.
But yeah, we've had Nicholas on before and talking about his, and we were happy to be able to follow up and have you on and talk about another aspect of what you're doing. I mean, you're going all out. You got trading card set of all your characters, and are you one that, like me, that likes a lot of characters, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, so G.I. Joe was my favorite comic book series, so they were always introducing new characters, and that's part of the fun with USAssassin. Since it led into a team being created, Mike and I have just had so much fun, adding new team members, for whatever the mission calls for. You have to have your specialists for each and every mission.
There you go. Yeah.
You did some stuff with this character here, your Slam buddy Sea Dog. Talk about Sea Dog for a minute.
Yeah, so my son and I, we created Pizza Tree, but when he started seeing like the success I was having with books like Graveyard Shift and USAssassin, he said, Dad, we need to create a character. We need to do something cool, not another kid book. We need to do like a real comic book. And we came up with character Sea Dog. At the time, my son was really into Dogman. So we had to come up with our own dog character, and we came up with a dog who the joke is it's a dog who can turn into a fish, but he can turn into any sea creature. And the joke is that he's the only dog humanoid in the world, but he was a regular dog who got an enchanted amulet put around his neck, and that transformed him into Sea Dog. He loved being a humanoid dog so much he didn't want to go back to being a regular dog, so he created a secret identity for himself. Sea Dog, spelled CDAWG, and he's a rapper. And they're the only two, dog humanoids in their world, but no one can figure out that they're the same person.
Well, it's comic book logic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What'd you say, Shadowhawk?
I said, yeah, that's like the old Clark Kent syndrome.
Right.
You don't think exactly like Superman, but nobody ever figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, now I don't know if the modern audience will kind of put up with that, unless he's like grandfathered in like Clark Kent Superman is, but they might think it's a little hokey, I mean, it's kind of like somebody from your generation, Mark, looking back just at something in the 60s, that the pacing seems so much slower.
Right.
You lose interest. We live in kind of an instant society now, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's played for the whole secret identity's played for fun. We're in on the joke. We know that.
Right.
They're clearly the same person. But yeah, it was just is a character we created. We did 2 volumes. I teamed up with artist Clint Helinski. I got it mixed up. And when I pitched him the idea, Seahawk, he said, "Well, I have these characters called Codename Killswitch. Could we add them to the mix?" And it sort of became almost like a Marvel team up book where my character teamed up with his 2 characters for a couple volumes, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I got those. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to do more with Sea Dog. He's guest starring in this volume of USAssassin, as well as Viking Wolf, which is another one of my characters.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So
is your son Chase going to have some input on that?
So eventually, this is all leading up to a huge crossover with all of my characters, and Chase is co-writing it with me.
Okay, so slowly but surely, and don't call me Shirley, as Shadowhawk said. You're building a universe of characters, right? All kind of roll into one. Was that always the ideal?
No. So I guess once things started taking off, that was the idea. But originally it was just like, I'm making this USAssassin book and I really like doing it. We're going to do another USAssassin book. And then I started doing, Sea Dog and Viking Wolf. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could see all these characters being in the same universe. I don't know why they aren't. So
do you read the back issues also, just like, oh, I remember this, and just, I mean, really you're kind of, I mean, the best writers, I think, the best artists, anybody in comics are fans first. They remember it is. I know there's a few people that may discover it late in life, but generally you're a kid and you know the excitement of certain issues, right? And certain experiences, just like anything else. I can open up a certain book and remember where I was when I bought that. Or other memories associated with it,
Oh yeah. Like from my childhood, I remember like reading certain issues of G.I. Joe, where I was, or the Flash. Thank you, Christopher. I remember waiting for my comic shop to open up to get the that first issue of Youngblood when I knew it was coming out. So. Yeah, no, comic books take me back. Working with Rob Liefeld, he said something that always stuck with me. He said, "Mark, you and I, we write books for the people who still have that sense of wonder," and I think that's like a powerful selling point in my books.
I needed the visuals, but I think comics really made me a reader. it was the visuals that first drew me in. That great early George Perez stuff. He hadn't even really refined himself, and in fact, I almost like the early stuff better. I know he could probably do architecture and a sense of depth and perspective better later on, but then that just defined musculature. I almost like his rough stuff better in a way, but I love it all. But when I saw that, it helped make me. It kept bringing me back. When I had a chance to buy anything on the rack, I picked out 2 books that just happened to be his. And then I remember the moment when I got out in the truck, and I'm like, this is the next issue of the one I bought 2 weeks ago. I'm going to collect this from now on. And I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jack Kirby doing a cover. Who's this? I want to see more George Perez. But I've come to appreciate it all now. New Jersey. Yeah, he's from New Jersey. Yeah. He's a Jersey guy. How long you been in Jersey? All your life, Mark?
Yeah, all my life, 50 years. Yeah.
Well, I always say that can be forgiven as well. I would not want to live in Jersey, but if you and Ethan love it, it's and others in the community, then I'm happy. Jersey's a small state, needs all the people they can get. I guess. Your little state probably has more than all of Arkansas combined.
Yeah, it's
I think we got like 4 million people in the whole state. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very densely populated here.
Yeah,
but we could do without so many people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you're really rolling all this into one title, or you just kind of like you want the crossovers and they'll have individual titles as you see it?
Yeah, every now and then characters will guest star. For the most part, USAssassin will just be the USAssassin team. Every now and then a Sea Dog or a Viking Wolf will pop up just to remind people that, hey, we're all in the same universe.
Well, if DC called you and said, would you write a story for us? Would you go do something like that? At this point?
I wouldn't leave what I'm doing full time, but I would write a story for the mainstream. But
what did you write over there for DC? What did you get? Hawkman. Okay.
Yeah. During the New 52. Yeah. Back in the day, I thought like when I was just starting out in my career, I thought working for the big 2, that was like the dream. And when I got the
you weren't the only one.
Yeah,
there was a lot of people that thought that.
When I got the job at DC, I was like, wow, this is incredible. But doing what I'm doing now, publishing my own books and getting to work with my son, nothing compares to that. That was like what I'm doing now is so much better than working at DC or working at Image. They were fun. They were a great experience to have.
Right.
Man,
did you get to work with Shelby Robertson? Since he kind of worked over there as well.
Shelby, no, not over there, but Shelby's done a cover for me, and yeah, I consider him a friend. So
I guess you get to swap stories, right?
Yeah.
He's always got a story to tell.
I don't know if you caught it, Rex, but Mark did work with Art T. Bear and Joe Bunn.
Right? Yeah. I know Art T. Bear. Joe Bennett. Was he working at Image? Joe Bennett.
So Joe originally did some work at Image for Rob on Supreme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And now
Shadowhawk is only a couple years younger than I, so he kind of grew up Bronze Age, Copper Age, 80s, but he loves that Image 90s stuff.
Yeah, I went nuts
it was hooked into that. And I have a lot in my collection too, but it's it didn't strike a chord as much as as it did with Shadowhawk. He was like plugged into
Yeah.
everything Image for at least the first 3 years of Image.
Yeah, I was buying 99% of what they put out for the first 3 years. I was just give it to me, put it in the stack. I'll be there to pick it up, you know, at the end of the month, put it in my call box.
Yeah, that 90s era of comics was such an exciting time. I think that's like when my fandom really hit its peak. Like that was my first time going to comic conventions and meeting the people who made the books and seeing all these different indie companies pop up. It really was inspiring.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you met Rob at a convention, or how did you guys kind of hook up? You were doing conventions?
So I met Rob at a convention. The first time I met him, I was too shy and scared to even tell him who I was. But I was on his message boards, and that's how we started working together. I would post images of my book, Coney Waves, that I was working on, and he was always very supportive and complimentary of it. So one day I just decided I was going to DM him, and I sent him a DM and said, "Hey, Rob, what do I need to do to one day, you know, be able to work with you?" And surprisingly, he responded back and said, "Don't worry, Mark. I think we're going to work together at some point." And I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And then one day, it was Thanksgiving, 2006. I got a call on my cell phone from a number I didn't recognize, and normally I would just let it go to.
Hey, Dave.
I would just let it go to the message, but I answered it and I said hello. On the other end, I hear, "Poulton, it's Liefeld. What's up?" He messaged some other people on the message board to track down my phone number.
And you said Liefeld who?
My head exploded when I heard his voice, because
I get this, you know, the old, you know, cord kind of phone, and you're going, you know, it's Rob.
Yeah. So he called me up Thanksgiving morning while he was going through his garage, like organizing stuff. And he decided he wanted to give me a call. He told me he was
You think he had a brain fart and you were just is he like, you know, oh yeah, there's Mark, I need to call him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Going through his garage, he like whatever made him think of, you know, what he wanted to talk to me about, but the reason was he was thinking about bringing his character Evangeline back, and he thought because of my work on my first book, Coney Waves, that I would be the perfect writer to bring Evangeline back. And we had a good talk for 2 hours, and when I say we had a talk, he talked for 2 hours, and I just listened and said, right. Yeah. Rob can you know, captivate an audience and tell a story. So whenever he gets talking, I just, like, I don't know, I go into fanboy mode and just hang on every word. But
besides comics, Mark, what are you kind of influences? You know, what do you read?
Oh, what do I read?
Besides comics, that's maybe influenced your writing.
Man, I don't know about other things that I read. I would say a lot of horror movies influence me. The cartoons I grew up with.
Yeah, look at that library behind him. That guy doesn't read at all. Nothing. It's all comic.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of a move too, so there's far more.
Are you really? Okay. Yeah. But you're going to stay on that side of the George line, right? You just
why would I leave New Jersey? It's such a great place.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. You know, you need to be happy where you're at. Is it to get more room? Is that it? Are you outgrowing your old place?
Well, definitely. So Haunted Pizza definitely outgrowing my basement. I also got a storage unit, but moving for other reasons.
Yeah. Is that where you do your fulfillment? Do you do your own fulfillment?
Yeah, I do my own fulfillment for the last 7 years. I've done it right down here in this basement, but I definitely need more space.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear you're bursting at the seams. it's not everybody in crowdfunding that can say that.
Yeah.
You've been pretty successful, I guess, from your original launch. Your original crowdfunder with your original one was I'm having a brain fart. The
Graveyard Shift.
Yeah, Graveyard Shift with Malin. Yeah.
Yeah, Graveyard Shift really blew up. I wasn't expecting it at all. I know when John and I talked about crowdfunding it, we set a goal of $5,000. And I said to John, what happens if we don't hit our goal? And he goes, oh, I guess we'll put up 2,500 and we'll print it up ourselves and sell it at conventions. And I remember thinking to myself, where am I coming up with $2,500?
Right.
But luckily I didn't have to worry. We were funded within minutes. And the first campaign went on to do like $100,000, and Graveyard Shift just kept getting bigger. The second book did like $250,000. Third book did over 300,000. So yeah, I can't believe it. Just the support people have shown on Graveyard Shift, it really changed my life.
Yeah, I imagine it did. What work did you do? What did you write over there at Image and Arcana Studio?
So Arcana Studio, that's where my first book, Coney Waves, was published. And I did 3 volumes of that over there. That caught the eye of Rob Liefeld. So with Rob, I did Brigade. We did a Brigade relaunch over at Image.
Those had some awesome covers.
Yeah.
Him diving out and that hand, just one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Brigade just had some, yeah.
And then we did the Evangeline relaunch over there, and I did that for about a year at Image. I also got to be part of, I don't know if you remember Image United, where all the founders got back together to do a jam comic where they all drew their own characters within the book. I got to work on the backup story to issue 2. So that was really cool to be in a book with all my heroes.
Evangeline's owned by Marvel now, isn't it?
No, you're thinking of
the Spawn one, that
Angela. Yeah, Angela.
Yeah.
That's Marlon's,
okay.
character. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got mixed up there. Shadowhawk wasn't here to correct me.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I got kicked there. I had to work my way back in.
Yeah, I was thinking of that character that was in Spawn, but you already know that. But so you think it was your work, your one piece over there that you wrote that caught Rob's eye?
Yes. So doing my book Coney Waves. I don't know if it was so much like my writing or just my hustle that he admired, because I was always out promoting it, doing different things, trying to make it happen. He told me before that he thought that like just my hustle and drive reminded him a lot of himself. So yeah, I think that's what actually like caught his eye.
Okay.
Cool.
And you probably had similar likes in comics, didn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know he grew up a big Perez fan and Teen Titans fan, and I love the Teen Titans as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I followed Perez over to DC for Marvel, when he would do something. I mean, Marv Wolfman's writing, and they just were killing it on New Teen Titans. That was just one of the best books being produced, I thought, in the 80s,
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, I like teen books anyway. Kind of like you're doing now, a lot of characters, and you kind of have your favorites, right? And then teams kind of go through changes. I kind of like growing up with the characters. The changes and then I felt like since we went from just newsstand to this new thing called direct comics, from comic stores, and I know not every town was privy to have a comic store. There's still towns out there that don't have comic stores. So you almost have to order the stuff online, but there's avenues now that there wasn't, say, 40 years ago. So it's the model's really changed. But I think we saw during the pandemic that diamond distribution needed to change with the times a little bit, because they started, it just took a little shake up, and it's like, it's going to be hard to pay our people and distributors, and then they kind of lost some contracts and they went with different publishers, and which I think is good. I think it's healthy. I think it's been an unhealthy thing for comics just to have diamond, and that's it. It was Capital when I did it, but then when Capital went out, they were bought by Diamond, but I mean, basically the same. They've had the same service that Capital had. It's like they ignore the little, if I was Apple Comics ordering hundreds and thousands of copies, they would pay more attention and make sure I was a happier customer than just our little podunk, comic store. And unfortunately that happens in comics. And if you're not big enough, you're not on their radar, they don't care. That you didn't get your product. We'll give you credit and stuff like that. It's it's not changed. I've heard Diamond Distribution with their packaging. It hasn't changed in 20, 30 years. There's still clients getting stuff delivered to them damaged. I've seen that at my own local comic book shop over the years that order through Diamond. Are you trying to get your stuff out in different avenues, Mark, like comic stores? I've seen Gary Shipman's book. I bought it at my local comic store. I got what was that other one? I got found a couple of different creators, and I know at Oliver and them with Cryptidnals are getting them out to the local comic book stores. Or are you just hitting the conventions? Do you have some of those things?
I've done it on a smaller scale where I've had like retailer tiers on my campaigns. Otherwise I just I hit up the conventions. Eventually I'd love to like build up a big enough library of work and hopefully get the books in places like Amazon and sell there.
I think that's smart. Yeah, I'm working with someone now that's gonna I think really jumpstart some things. Going to do a book on John Buscema and another one on the vice president of production over at DC back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, Jack Adler, and get in all the bookstores and things. That'll be different. I think we're going to have to expand beyond just the crowdfunding scene and maybe conventions to really make a mark eventually. We're going to have to make some inroads in the distribution. It's a good starting place, the crowdfunding, I feel, because you can sell directly to people that are interested in your product, and a lot of that is build your channel, right? I guess you prescribe to that like John Malin, right? Build your channel for a couple years.
Yeah. John was always preaching it since we started Graveyard Shift. It took me a couple years before I bought into it, just because I'm a very quiet, shy person. And then I was like, oh, you know what?
Yeah, you're harder to get on this show more than Mike Barron. What the hell? I've had Mike on, 10, 12 times, and I can't get Mark Bolton on.
We'll change that.
Yeah. I think maybe on Red Valkyries or somewhere I've been on a panel with you, a couple times, but other than that, it's like high and by, it's like, what do I got to do to get Mark over here?
So I tried to change it with, especially with this campaign. I just wanted to get the word out on USAssassin. So I put the invite out on Twitter. I'm willing to come on anyone's channel to talk about the book and to talk about comics and whatever people want to talk about. So I'm getting better at it. Give me some time.
Right. Yeah. I can't think, Scottish kilt there, I guess. Jamie McCrimmon, from Doctor Who back in the 60s. I can't help but think of that. Now you've got a stretch goal that you're getting ready to hit, which is a 6 a.m. sticker there, right?
So a magnet, yeah.
Or a magnet. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of 6 a.m. comics artwork. So I already have like a little collection of magnets he's done for me. So I want to keep that collection growing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, Amanda B said to me, and it really stuck with me, magnets are functional. You can use them, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you hit
I
five.
used to do this.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I used to do the stickers, but then I was like, it's exactly Amanda B's point. Like, what do you do with the stickers? The magnet, it's actually functional.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Tell us about your $100 4-pack tier here.
Sure. So with the $100 tier, you get both covers to US Assassin Volume 4. You get US Assassin War Stories, which is a 180-page collection of the first 3 volumes in digest size or manga size, however you want to say it. And then you also get the US Assassin: The Art of Mike McMahon hardcover. So four books for $100.
Each of them signed by you.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're new to US Assassin, you'll get everything we've done. And if you don't want the other, the variant cover or the art book, you can get War Stories and Volume 4, and that's $240 or 240 pages worth of material for $50. Or use the code 10 off at checkout and save $10.
I'm gonna have to get on the mic for Sea Dog doing the Sig Heil there.
Yeah. he's ready to take off. That's what he's doing.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna bust his chops about it anyway next time I see him. Mike's a good friend of the channel. So you can get the cover here for $25.
Yep.
Then you got a wraparound cover, right?
Yeah, this is by Sedna Khan, who worked on Supreme back in the 90s, worked on X-Men.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I've got a lot of those Supremes, from back in the day. And then we've got another Mike McMahon cover of just like the figure with a sword, right?
That's the art book, yeah.
Down here somewhere. Okay. Oh, that's the art of Mike McMahon, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then we've got Super Joe. Tell us about that. Super Joe Unlimited variant.
Yeah, so Super Joe was the 70s G.I. Joe toy line. Power Comics Group, they got the license to do a Super Joe comic.
Oh, okay.
I worked with them to do a special variant cover that features US Assassin on the cover. So there's only 100 of them made, and the only place you can get it is in this campaign.
Wow. 73 left of 80. So okay, there's a few there, and then you got a trading card set here.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about crowdfunding was we started doing trading cards as stretch goals, but I love the trading cards so much I just wanted to do a set of them. So this is the 12 cards. It's the entire US Assassin team plus our guest star Rowdy Roddy Piper. And if you back our friend Nicholas Gear's book, Relentless Tin Soldier, as well, you'll get 2 bonus cards. You'll get a trading card of Relentless Tin Soldier and Captain Battle, and then another trading card of Man of War. So that'll be a Legendary Heroes subset. That's part of the.
How cool is that? I mean, Luke is putting in or Nicholas is putting in Captain Battle and other public domain characters, and after all these years he gets his own trading card. Now are these got stats on the back or what?
Yeah, it'll have power rankings. People really seem to enjoy that when we put the rating levels and stuff.
Volume 4 and trading card set. Okay, so the book and the whole set of cards.
Yep.
Cool. Both volume 4 covers. All right. And just didn't want to miss anything here. Do you put your own campaigns up? I'm just wondering.
Yeah. Yep. I do all the work for it.
Yeah. You've got some higher tiers here. You want to talk about those, like your collector's case here?
Sure. So we do we do this case that has a magnetic closure. It's decorated in like GI Joe toy style artwork of our characters. This case has Slither, the snake man with the three snake tongues.
Right.
And it comes with both covers to volume 4. It comes with the Art of Mike McMahon hardcover. It comes with the U.S. Assassin War Stories collection, the Super Joe variant cover, the trading card set, and it also comes with a head sketch by Mike McMahon.
And Slam Buddies are pretty popular, aren't they? With some people, kind of like Keshies.
Yeah. I was a big wrestling fan growing up, and I remember that they did the wrestling buddies, and I was like, oh, why? I wonder if I can get these made for my characters. And sure enough, there was a place that was that could do them for me. So yeah, I've done them for a lot of my campaigns. In this campaign, you can get U.S. Assassin, Bazooka Dog, or Sea Dog Slam Buddies.
Now, how do you design these things, Mark? With you're the writer. You got an ideal like for this Soviet bear character that was just up there, or this other Soviet character that's in front of him. How does that come to be? Walk me through that. You get with Mike or another artist and you say, I've got this idea for a new character, or do you draw a little bit yourself?
Yeah, I've drawn some comics in the past. I've drawn a lot of children's books. For those characters, USSR Assassin in Siberia, I don't know. I had a very clear idea in my head of what they should look like. So I just sketched it out and I sent it over to Mike, and I was like, here's my idea for the characters. And Mike brought it to life, made him cooler.
Yeah. So do you thumbnail your stuff out? Do you go write a script? How do you do it?
I give my artists a lot of freedom. I write out a script panel by panel,
right.
But I'm always open to ideas from my artists. That's the one thing I love about making comics is like that true collaboration. So if they bring me back ideas and like, say, hey, I like what's going on, but what if we did this and turn that page into a double page spread or something like that? I'm all for it. I want a happy artist working with me. I think a happy
try
artist.
And write to their strengths?
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to know what they like drawing.
Yeah, more patches.
Yeah.
I like the Scarlet Spat. Tom was it Tom Lyle that designed him? Unfortunately, we lost him 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I never heard of him, but I loved his Scarlet Spider design and with the little hoodie and Spider-Man character can kind of pull off a hoodie, because he's a city dweller, right? I mean, even Peter Parker, he swings around. In fact, I think he complains about being in suburbia in one early story. It's like nothing to swing by. A few tree branches and lights, fixtures, and that's it. You get outside the city and he can't operate. He's got to get the spider buggy or something out. It's funny watching Rex reading the chat and deciding, nope, I'm not highlighting that. Yeah. I know, Crooked Painter. I know. They grill me bad for not, highlighting their stuff. Levi says, I back the hard cover and comic book tier.
Oh, thank you, Levi.
Yeah, Levi was on, I believe, yesterday with us. I don't know. Time goes by so quick. And I thought somebody else was going to show up, but he hadn't made it yet. But the evening's still young. Yeah, I like to create a lot of characters, Mark. I don't know about you, but the more characters, the better. Without being derivative.
Right.
What's the now? It seems like you're leaning into the derivative. You know, I love G.I. Joe, and I want them to be my G.I. Joe team, but you're not really being that derivative, are you?
No, I mean, like I said, this is probably like my Rob Liefeld version of G.I. Joe with lots of extreme characters, a little tongue in cheek. Like, of course, if there's a USS assassin in my world, then there would also have to be a USSR assassin, being an 80s
Oh yeah, that makes
Cold
perfect
War
sense. Yeah.
Cold War kid.
Yeah. My Professor X sense is sensing something. You would have Rob Liefeld shackled to his art desk, drawing nothing but G.I. Joe.
Oh, if I could,
Am I right?
that would be the dream. Yeah.
I don't think Rob would go for that.
The next one could be what is it? The CCCP assassin.
Someone suggested that, I should have made him the USS arsonist.
Well, I try and introduce, you know, what really, I don't know if you know about, you know, the collectability side of it. I'm sure you do, but
yeah,
what really, kind of like in baseball, a rookie card, the first appearance of a new character really helps the value of some books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are the ones that we call key issues, right? So what new characters are you introducing in this? Is it these US
Yeah, so this is the first appearance of USSR Assassin in Siberia, and they're going to be big parts of the book and the team going forward. So yeah,
I always loved the Marvel USSR team, you know, that they kind of had. They had the bear because that, you know, Russia identifies with the bear, but
yeah,
you had like Dark Star, and who was the rest of them? Shadowhawk,
Crimson Dynamo, I think.
Crimson Dynamo, which was an old Iron Man type character.
Was Titanium Man in there too? I can't remember.
I think it was just Crimson, but yeah, Titanium Man was also Russia too. Like you said, Mark, the Cold War had been going on a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with it till we got out of it at the late 80s, you know, and the wall came down and everything. You know, we would have drills. I don't know about you, but get under your desk. And, you know, if you hear the alarm, you know, we'd have drills. Like that desk is going to protect you from a nuclear bomb. I guess it's like a tornado, right?
Yeah.
Used to, they didn't cancel for anything, but I saw a snowflake. We got to cancel school. Nowadays, it's snowflakes. I tell you, I don't know if we're made of sterner stuff or not. I think we were pretty soft compared to, you know, the generations that came before us that fought World War II and Korea and Vietnam and like that. You know, you have any military in your own family, Mark?
Oh, my dad was in the Army.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no wonder you kind of gravitated to G.I. Joe, huh?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I'm sure that was part of it. Also, I guess just growing up in the 80s with you know, action movies. Patriotism was at an all-time high in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. We were making money. You know, it seemed like I look back on it and I said, man, I'm so glad, you know, it was college years for me. That was, you know, I was glad to come out of high school and actually get a job. No problem getting a job, you know, because, you know, you could very well come out of high school and there be no jobs, you know, like in the Depression. You can't take anything for granted. And we've went through a few crashes too. Where do you see crowdfunding and sort of the independent? I guess you identify as independent, right? Sort of an indie writer, indie.
Yeah, definitely. As an indie publisher, I don't know. I think it's only going to get the competition for crowdfunding is only going to get harder because more and more mainstream guys are seeing the success we're having, and they're like,
"Don't shy away from it, Mark. Say hi, CG."
Hey, CG.
You've been on
Well,
any
I-
graveyard shift.
Yeah,
If
that-
you're not CG, I don't know who it.
If
Yeah,
you don't
no.
buy CG, you ain't black.
That's right.
No, I mean, I just mean like the mainstream creators that are like, why am I still working there when I see, you know, everyone, not just CG, but like Brian Pulido and, you know,
Oh, well, Polito's been doing it for years, dude.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
over on Kickstarter with Lady Death and all that. Yeah,
Yeah, Brian's like he's pretty cool, man. I think he lives
him and
by
Billy
Houston,
Tucci
right?
are kind of trailblazers in this. You know, long before
Isn't
anybody
he in
else was.
Jersey somewhere too? I think Polito.
he's in Arizona.
Oh, did he move? I thought I know he was on the East Coast. I thought when he started.
I'm sure when he first started, he just seems like he was probably an East Coast guy originally, but I'm pretty sure he's out in Arizona.
It kind of looks like you
okay.
need to write something for Nick Graham Nolan. I don't know if he's in the business of, you know, but he did a good stint on Hawkman while he was over there.
Yeah.
And you wrote Hawkman. What was your kind of bent on Hawkman?
Great.
How did you kind of write?
So we were doing it at the time, New 52. So we got to kind of do our own origin, and we did almost like Jason Bourne meets Indiana Jones as a space cop.
Because I know, you know, some like Superman. Okay, he's from Krypton. The origin's set in stone. You're not going to change it. They don't want you to change it, you know. But Hogman, through the years, you know, Carter Hall, and you know, he's had multiple origins. You know, there are just some characters that weren't, you know, as popular. You might say second tier. I hate to say that because, you know, I guess I'd had to put myself back in the 40s to see just how popular he was. You know, Joe Kubert and Sheldon Madoff probably drawing him, you know, and then getting a revisal. You know, I like the idea of a tryout, you know, title like Showcase, or even Marvel had, you know, Marvel Spotlight and some titles that they would just try new characters out. If they took off, then they get their own title. I kind of like that format, even for indie. If you can, not that we're doing a monthly basis thing. Yeah. I guess you pretty much have to write one and done things, don't you? Cliffhangers are kind of hard to do with crowdfunding unless you're going to follow up quickly with another issue.
Yeah, I try to wrap up like the main story, but always leave the audience hanging on what's next, the next adventure for the team. I feel like that's the perfect way to go.
Yeah. When did you jump on to G.I. Joe? What issue?
Oh, I think my first issue was issue, I want to say 28. The series was a couple years in when I first discovered it, but I went back. I found a comic book shop in the mid 80s, and I was able to get like back issues. So I had my full run pretty early on, and just never stopped collecting it. And when IDW lost the license, I was like, you know what? This is a perfect time for me to stop collecting, because I was unhappy with the IDW run the entire time I was collecting it. But then when I heard Robert Kirkman got the license, I was like, you know, I really should give this a shot. So I just picked up all 3 issues. So we'll see if I like it. Just from what I've seen, the artwork and the covers and what I've heard of the story, I think I might be, you know, still on board with keeping my G.I. Joe run complete.
Well, Kirkman's been lauded as a pretty good writer, right?
Yeah. But he brought Larry Hama back to write it.
Oh yeah. Well, I noticed through the Marvel run, you know, you had some nice Mike Zeck covers. You had John Byrne doing a few covers. Who was your favorite artist throughout on that Marvel run?
So Ron Wagner's my all-time favorite G.I. Joe artist. But those Mike Zeck covers are second to none.
Yeah. And I know John Byrne did one or two of them in there somewhere.
Yeah.
He had his hand, his toe dipped in there somewhere on just about everything. What are you trying to bring about in your book, your overall messages? I mean, just in all your books, what are you, great storytelling?
Just fun comics.
Yeah.
That's what I think people want. They just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what
and they don't want to see something that they love for years die.
Yeah.
I kind of look at comics as a unique American art form. And,
yeah, definitely.
And just talking with Steve Rude, you know, we talked a little bit about, and I've talked to others about it as well, passing that torch on from generation to generation, you know. I mean, there'll be a time where Rob Liefeld has to pass it off to somebody, right? Who's younger and going to carry it on for years to come. I almost look at it as a sacred trust with artists, and then I guess writers as well. I don't know. You know, it was really in the early 80s when I was first made aware of people like Chris Claremont, you know, or, you know, the writers and the artists and the inkers for that matter, you know, and then you had superstar status, right? You had like Frank Miller's come in, and then I love the limited series too. I don't know why somebody doesn't do a limited series and crowdfunding. I guess they are. I don't know that they're really calling it a limited series. You know?
Yeah. I think you know, I don't know. I think the limited series on a crowdfunding based platform, you might have to have a few issues done in advance just so you can have the campaigns ready to go.
Right,
one after the other. So
maybe or release them all at once. I've seen people release 2 or 3 issues at a time. Did you go back and you collect? I mean, besides G.I. Joe, do you go back and like? I like Mike Zeck. I might like his limited Punisher run that he did in the 80s.
Yeah, so I would just from having G.I. Joe comics, I started seeing advertisements for other books. So I started like checking out Spider-Man, X-Men, and then I started checking out DC books like the Justice League, Teen Titans, and the Teen Titans. I love them, so I went back and started getting all the issues of that. Much like you, George Perez is one of my favorites. So I had, I tried to collect all the Teen Titan books.
And just how Marv Wolfman wrote that, you know, and introducing new characters and bringing back old baddies that kind of like the Doom Patrol, you know, and other things that have been out of the public eye for a long time. And that's what I like about that being introduced. You know, I'm still scratching my head about Hank McCoy of the Beast being in Avengers talking about X-Men. I'm like, I've not, you know, I was telling Shadowhawk, I didn't see an X-Men on my stand for I was collecting for 2 years before I ever saw my first X-Men. And I wasn't on, and even with John Byrne artwork, I wasn't on board yet, you know. When it got really wild, that's when I jumped in and I said, man, I've been missing something here, you know. But they look kind of weird to me, you know, with Nightcrawler, and of course he looks kind of demonic, and I wanted to stay away from stuff like that. So, but you know, I mean, those, I don't think you get much, you know, that's clicking on all cylinders. I think the Dark, you know, the Claremont and the Byrne and the Austin years were just, you know, they were. I mean, I cried when Phoenix died, when Jean Grey, and I did, and those were relatively new characters to me, but I was so invested. You know, you can take a fictional character and people get so invested in it. I think that's why we want the hobby to survive, right?
Yeah.
It's something we love. We don't want to see it die out. We have good memories. We have good associations with it. My grandfather was in the hospital, so you know, my mother said, you stay here and look at the comics or something while I get his medicine and pick you out something. And then we went back 2 weeks later to check on him, and I got the next issue, and then I got collecting, you know, and then my mother's like, oh boy, my checkbook's getting a little thin there. They were only a quarter though, you know. But my mother was so tight, it's like, can I have a few pennies for tax and get 4? No, you'll have to make the dollar stretch. So, you know, I'm taking cushions and all like that. Let me play you something you may not have seen, Mark.
Okay.
Gotta do this. It's kind of like a commercial break. Real quick.
Okay.
Oh, man. Chuck is the
You are correct, sir. Sign up today. The sign up is going to be up for about 10 more days, and then we launch over on Red Valkyries. You by Choppy Ass Theater. Chop till you drop's what I say, Mark.
Yeah.
I always apologize to my guests for chopping their, you know, showing their trailer, and it's just like a Viewmaster. It's kind of become a meme, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess we probably need to show yours and show them a little bit about what they'll be getting here with USAssassin. I guess this is your longest running book, right? This is issue 4.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry. I guess this is like 4 issues, right?
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. We're 4 volumes in. Graveyard Shift. We're about to launch the 5th volume of that.
Oh,
so,
that's right. Yeah, I guess you got to count that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the trailer and chop this baby up.
This is the mercenary, Flip Gordon. And I hope you guys are ready for the biggest U.S. assassin adventure yet.
Dogs of war, you know we going hard. We on a mission to find Bazooka Dog.
Who let the dog out?
Assassin, so I hope you ready. Never know what could happen, but it's gonna be deadly. Snakes everywhere, trust nobody. Going all out, it's time to get rowdy. The kilted Avenger, Roddy Piper, is rolling too. The biggest adventure yet. Come and join the crew. The mercenary and Raider, the search and rescue dog. Putting in the work, you know that they on the job. Traveling the listeners. Bazooka has made some new friends. Sea Dog and Viking Wolf. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Yeah. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Yeah. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy.
No clips, no pistol whips, just fast wits, sharp focus, and a venomous spit. Dilophosaurus, are you with us or not for us? Dare to choose the ladder, flip will turn you to a blood splatter. Choices matter, a brother up with the spangled banner. Star stripes, assassins, and resurrected wrestlers. Oh, this is Piper's pit, so pipe down, you don't wanna feel that sniper's hit. I stand tall, dropping rounds on the enemy lines, so no fear, cause there's a bazooka strapped to my canine.
Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. Yeah. Dogs of war, time to get rowdy. The biggest adventure yet. Never know what to expect. Let's go.
I got the Graveyard Shift, you know, sort of trade paperback edition with 3 when you launch 3 to kind of catch up. Are you going to kind of do that with these as well eventually?
Yeah, no, I already did it. So part of this campaign, we have USAssassin War Stories, which collects the first 3 volumes, 180 pages. So you can get that for $25 plus volume 4 for an additional $25. So over 240 pages of story for $50. There's a coupon code too for all tiers over $50, and the coupon code is 10 off. So you can get $240 worth of material for, or 240 pages worth of material for $40.
Did you have an early sign up sort of premium, a bookmark, a trading card or something for signing up early?
No. So since I did Fund My Comic, there wasn't a sign up page on Fund My Comic. I have a mailing list just from all my years of crowdfunding that I did.
Mm-hmm.
I sent the code out through there. So no extra trading card or anything, just $10 to save.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of them have. I mean, are you surprised at how Fun My Comic is kind of? I know Luke's talked about it. You know, we're way ahead of schedule about where he thought we would be. You know, had some very successful campaigns over there, and at first he didn't have a shopping cart option. Now he does. I mean, it's kind of, and now he's launching a second sister site, so I guess things are going pretty good over there.
Yeah. I had always had my eye on it, and Luke reached out to me saying if I had a campaign, he would love to have me come over there and give it a try. So I gave it a try with Writhe in Pain doing a variant cover, and I was really happy with how the campaign ran over there, and how easy it was to get my money, because I know that was a problem. I've had problems getting my money from Indiegogo, still having those problems. So it's Fund My Comic has been a breath of fresh air.
JD, say hello to Mark.
Mark, thank you very much. Glad to see you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Coming in good. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for your patience while I ran from one end of the Spokane, Washington area to the other. That way I could join you guys. This is pretty cool that I could be here. Thank you.
Well, yeah. We always love having you on. You bet.
Awesome.
We're just talking with Mark about his current campaign. He's got 3 up on Fund My Comic, but now I showed Type 1. Type 1 as well. Type 1 looks really good to me. Can you kind of give us a rundown about that, Mark, real quick?
Sure. The Type 1 is my best friend Sean Arendt's book that I'm publishing for him. It's it's a superhero who has type 1 diabetes, so he's juggling that as well as juggling this new armor that he's gotten. That he discovered. So it's a fun book. Sean has all the same loves and influences that I have of early 90s Image comics, and we grew up loving the same cartoons. So he's doing the art and the writing. I'm helping him edit the book. He has Dan Kemp on as a colorist, and Dan's colored a lot of Spawn, one of the best colorists around. Book's looking beautiful, so I'm really happy.
I dig the art.
No, that looks awesome.
It's kind of like Blue Beetle meets Iron Man.
Yeah,
I love this piece here, the start of the trailer. I just, that's got George Perez vibes to it. That's just wonderful looking stuff, man. And the colors pop. I mean, he's a great looking character. I've been dropping links for this one for a while, and your other campaign, Writhe in Pain. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Writhe in Pain. I'm doing that book with my buddy artist Chris Graves. It's about a teenage witch who teams up with her witch hunting father to save their town from an evil that is taking over. If you're a fan of Spawn or the Creech or the 10th, those early,
or maybe Haunted. Have you read Haunted?
Yeah.
Like
those type of early Image monster books. I think you'll really love Writhe in Pain. The books are actually going to arrive next week. So we'll be shutting down this campaign. But we ran this over on Indiegogo and Fund My Comic. And we've crowdfunded about 30,000 for this. So really pleased with the
Man, look
the
at that.
support on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the artwork's incredible. I think like backers, it's going to be their favorite book they've backed.
You like that over the top, don't you? You really like
I
that
do.
over the top.
Yep.
Top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it never hardly takes a breath. It's just like metal,
Yeah.
rubber hits
Metal
the
to the
road.
metal. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
it
no,
never lets up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess working with Rob Liefeld, just like it was always like to outdo the previous volume. So the adventures just keep getting bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, that's one thing I liked was you grow with the characters, right?
Yeah.
So this campaign's still up, but coming down possibly next week. So
Yeah.
you might want to get on that. Any news about Type 1, about when that one may be coming down?
Type 1 is still going to be up for a while.
Okay. It's good because I want to
to
back that. It looks good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Sean. He's working on it right now. But yeah, I think he has a fulfillment date of next September. So there's still plenty of time to back the project.
That is cool. Rex, do you mind if I ask Mark a question?
No, go ahead.
Awesome. So, Mark, I got a question. So, what inspired you to do a hero with as mundane a disease as type 1 diabetes?
Oh, so it wasn't my idea. Sean.
Okay.
Sean Aaron, yeah, he's a type 1 diabetic as well. So yeah.
Well, that's interesting because, like I said, it's a pretty mundane, and it's probably one that you see a lot of comic fans having to wrestle with. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. My blood sugar, I do that. It's like it can tank out or cause all kinds of problems.
Yes.
I remember from Lightning Comics, they had one during the news of the AIDS rage, right? He was the first superhero that had AIDS.
Oh, Bloodfire. I remember that.
Bloodfire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know that this was like related to some life situation, type 1, that's what it was kind of related to, diabetes. So, interesting where that's going to go. I guess there's going to be a type 1 issue 2, possibly.
Yeah,
down the road.
The running joke is the sequel's type 2. Yeah.
Yeah, type 2. Okay. All right. I mean, you had like Mach 1, Mach 2 armor, Mach 3 armor, right? You could just kind of play into that.
Yeah.
At least for a little while. Crooked Painter wants to know if he's going to lose a foot.
No.
That's not funny. Stop that. Mark, how much, is Chase a comic reader? Or does he like to read your stuff? I mean, what age group are you kind of hitting with your books?
I would say like for my books, I would say teen and up. Chase loves to read. He's 13 now. He's more into manga than US comics.
Right.
But
yeah,
he's an avid reader. He's always been into books. And
how do we win the hearts of those manga readers though, or can we capture that crowd and get them back to Western comic books?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like I mean, I think we're doing on the indie level, and it's with exciting exciting books and exciting art. The mainstream is just a little mundane, and that the artwork isn't as captivating as it used to be.
Well, I mean, are we going to turn this ship around? What do you see in the crowdfunding for the next 5 years? What's it going to do? Because I know there was a lot of anticipation for last year. We're going to make, X amount, and maybe we did, but it seems like the purse strings for a lot of people are getting tighter with inflation things.
Yeah, no, it's the economy's really played a part in it, and I think the competition's only going to get stiffer with more and more mainstream guys coming to crowdfunding. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for crowdfunding.
If I did, you'd corner the market, but you've done like over $1 million in all your books, right? In crowdfunding.
Yeah.
You say,
Yeah. I've been very fortunate with that. I love the model.
I'll DM you about a loan later, but I'm sorry. I just had to throw that little joke in there. It was
I love the model of direct to the consumer. It adds a personal touch to it, and I think that's why it really has been successful for a lot of creators. We're building those relationships with our fan base. Yeah,
I've sold on eBay for and you sell, you package it up and you ship direct to the customer. So it's a lot similar like that. I've done that for almost 20 years, and I have repeat customers. In fact, I've got a couple that they buy production art or original art or something I have in my collection that I might put up, and they actually send it to museums, like comic museums. I've gotten some of the pieces that I've collected, and most of mine I have gotten off eBay. It's wonder what you can find on there. And it's not the best platform, and like Kickstarter, it's the biggest guy in the room, but it's not the best platform. Indiegogo, again, kind of follows in its footsteps with the shadow banning, and it's not, you can do well at Indiegogo, but it seems like, again, they're not near as big as Kickstarter, but we hence I think Fund My Comic is we need a platform like that you can actually talk, get on the phone and call and talk to somebody directly and get answers about your campaign when you need them, and then also there's not going to be any shadow banning.
Yeah, Fund My Comic. I think they're going in the right direction. It's just as it gets more campaigns, it'll get more foot traffic, and then that will become like a hub where everyone goes to look for new comic books. Like I said before, I back a lot of campaigns, but I'm a window shopper. I like to go through all of them in case there's something I missed. And with the shadow banning on Indiegogo, that really it really not only hurt like creators, but it hurt like it kind of killed my passion for looking for books. Yeah. I think it killed a lot of people's passion somewhat, but I think a lot of it, you have a proven record. You've delivered many campaigns. You've fulfilled many campaigns. So that helps, like the Diaz brothers, they started out with Magic Cop, things like that. And over time they've fulfilled, and everybody's been, they've kind of been building their base. And there's been so many others, Mandy and others that have a proven record. But, I think we've got a good community. I think it's as much about the creator as it is and the trust that they have in the creator. If there's no trust there, because there have been some campaigns that kind of fallen flat and haven't delivered, or been, late, or just no intention of delivering, it looks like at this point. And that hurts overall, doesn't it? Yeah, no, it hurts everyone. When someone doesn't fulfill their campaign, I think it makes everyone on the platform look bad, because usually it's that one bad experience that will forget the 29 great experiences I had. It's that one bad one that's going to make people that they're always going to remember and say, that's going to leave a bad taste in the mouth. There's all these late books. When in reality, there's only a small portion of late books. Yeah.
So
did you have?
I got another question for actually, both you, Rex, and Mark.
Okay.
How do you plan out when you do you have like a time schedule for, I want to have this book done and in a customer's hands by X date? How far out do you plan things? Because obviously you're creating something, you're creating a product that is going to be in a customer's hands eventually.
Right.
And I've backed a campaign like a year ago, and I'm still kind of waiting for it. And like how do you keep that from happening? And the reason why I'm kind of asking is I have a campaign that is going to hopefully go up. I have an artist, Levi Skeen, who was on with you guys, Rex, last night, and I'm a total newbie at this. So the more experienced people I can talk to about this, the better. But, like Mark, Rex, how do you plan stuff out?
I usually don't even start thinking about the campaign until I have half of the book completed. And then I talk to my artist to see what they think their time frame looks like when they're going to finish. And when I'm creating that fulfillment date, I usually add 2 to 3 months to whatever they say.
Okay.
Because I know things are going to pop up. Usually in indie comics, everyone has a day job. So
yes,
if we're able to create our own date that we're saying we're fulfilling by, just add a couple months to it. Put that cushion in there.
Do you still have to do that over on Fund My Comic? I know you kind of bake that in over on Indiegogo, but there's like yours. Some of yours is forefront.
I don't think you have to fill it out, but I always do.
Yeah. Well, now, how long do you think is a good appropriate time, Mark, to go in demand with project? Does it, like you say, you like at least half the project to be done? So, and I assume that's because you want quick turnaround, right? And good customer service, good satisfaction.
Usually I don't leave my projects in demand long. Usually I'll just move them over to my web store once I've finished fulfillment. I know in demand is good for a lot of creators. Like they use like the purpose. I've heard the purpose of crowdfunding is to, you can bring in the money so you can take the time, take that year or 2 years or whatever you need to make your book. So I know, your book's going to be in demand for 2 years, and that's their model. And I don't have any, I don't have anything against like the model they're doing. My model's a little different just because I don't like anything hanging over my head. So if I'm saying I'm delivering on that date, I get nervous even if I'm in the process of fulfilling and we're going to go into that next month. And I said, no, I'm going to be fulfilled in October. I don't want it to be November. I got to get this done.
Now, when do you decide a new project is? I mean, that you want to take on some more, Mark? Is it I just had an epiphany. This is going to be a great story. Do you just write it up and say, okay, I got to find an artist now? I mean, or do you just kind of slot it in because you got other projects going, other things?
Yeah. When things really took off, like I was green lighting a lot of my ideas and stuff because I didn't know. Like I thought this crowdfunding wouldn't last forever, and I wanted to get all my ideas out, but I was really killing myself, like burning myself out. So now I'm just doing 2, possibly 3 campaigns a year, and those other ideas they'll have to wait. Eventually they'll happen. It's just or who knows, maybe they won't. Maybe if I think about it for a while. My son always tells me, he goes, just because you have an idea, Dad, doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Right. I think you trust the process.
You might have a point there, Chase.
Like my co-host Shadowhawk, he says Rex is his plan's ever changing. That's true. It has morphed over time. I was like, I got to get Devil Flyer out, and I had a complete story. It was being lettered, but it wasn't. It was almost completely done, but. I took a look at that and I said, hey, if I want to do this right, I'm going to have to take some more time. I'm going to have to build the channel, kind of like John Malin did, said, take a couple years out. It's just taken a couple years. Yeah. And I work with different artists and develop different backstory, something so that it's just not that 29-page originally story that, it's, and it's morphed over time to where it's more, a clear vision for me, over time. Yeah. And I guess with some of those. Hey, Amanda, it takes Mark POULTON or JD to get Amanda in here anymore. I'm going to bust your chops, Amanda. Either that or she's been doing a lot of lurking. It's good to see you, Amanda. My heart is leaping right now. You know, I for a long time I couldn't get any female representation in here to watch the show. Where's the women? I guess I scare them all off. Now we have a pretty healthy amount, you know, but I treasure every one of them. You know, try not to slap them down too hard. Any other things, JD, that you're thinking about, you know, that you just really want to hit Mark while you got him here?
Yeah. So something that I've been thinking a lot about is you kind of have the model of you have your campaign, you have like different, you come up with a YouTube presence, maybe you show, you stream and things like that. And I'm trying to think of, and I know that Luke Stone, a Fund My Comic, is also trying to think of what are ways, you know, beyond the YouTube ways.
Right.
How do you get your story in front of, I don't know, cops, grocers, tax people, I don't know, your average person. I mean, you got Netflix, you know, somebody does something, they come home, they kick back and then they watch whatever show they're going to watch, or they get whatever entertainment that they're going to get. But how do you break that wall of, these are great stories. If you like Marvel movies and you think they stink now, here's something that has that same kind of inspirational, heroic thing that you first liked from, you know, the first couple Iron Man movies and, you know, the Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. Here's this. How do you get that out there? Like I said, I've been trying to think about that. I know that Luke Stone is also trying to do that. You know, how would you do that? Do you think about that?
I mean, for me, I guess it's more like grassroots. Like, you know, my public library will ask me to come out and, you know, come up with a little program for kids about comics.
Yeah.
My son's school has asked me to come out. Sean, we're talking with a local children's hospital about having him come out and talk to kids with diabetes. So I don't know, just grassroots, like, you know, small steps at a time, and that hopefully, you know, one of these things will catch on, and then who knows, maybe Sean's, you know, has a program at hospitals going around, or, you know, I have a class at a library that you know is reoccurring. Things like that, as well as like going out to the conventions. I think it is good to have a convention presence, and I did Garden State Comic Fest back in the summer, and it was awesome to see, you know, a lot of the people from the CG community show up for that. So it's I don't know, it's nice to get outside from our YouTube every once in a while and to talk to real people.
Well, Mark, is it that you're trying to get a catalog of, you know, a built up of, also, I mean, like you were saying, you know, a volume of work? Yeah.
I would love to have that catalog of work build up, and then, you know, get into bookstores, or, you know, show that to your, you know, your people at Netflix or whoever, you know, makes movies. I have connections in that. And, you know, I'll tell you what, when the first Graveyard Shift campaign launched, people in Hollywood pay attention to that stuff. I had producers that I know hit me up and say, "Whoa, what's this project you're doing that is now on the front page of Indiegogo?"
Yeah.
So do like your, and Hollywood is not, like, for me, it's not like a huge thing.
Yeah.
You know, but Have you found that there are, like, quote unquote, the Hollywood people? Are they watching stuff like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and what new IPs could be kind of coming up to the grassroots?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're like, watching like a hawk, but I just know that
Yeah.
like people I've I've made connections over the years. They were like, "Oh, I just saw your book and it's trending on Indiegogo. Tell me
Mhm.
about it. What's the deal with the the rights?" That's like the big thing.
Mhm.
Where's the rights? Where are the rights at for this?
Yes.
Well, they're with
Yeah.
me. But yeah, no, I'm sure there's people who strictly look at crowdfunding. I know
Mhm.
when I when I first my first self-published book was Pizza Tray. That was in Diamond. I had a producer hit me up and said, "Hey, I found this in Diamond. I haven't been able to find it in stores. Can you send me a copy? Also, where are the rights at for this?" And I was like,
Wow.
"Yeah,
Now
I can send you a
you
copy."
did a lot of
Right.
children's. You did a lot of children's books. You said.
Yeah, yeah. So when my time at DC wrapped up, I kind of felt like the comic industry was done with me. Everything I was pitching, I was told it was too 90s, too live filled. And I was like,
Really?
well, I like the
Mm.
90s. I like live filled. I think there's an audience for it. And
Uh-huh.
the publishers were telling me, no, we don't want that stuff.
I think
So
you're right.
I
There's a
started looking
lot of
for,
people that grew up in the 90s that love that 90s style.
yeah,
Now
Mhm.
I'm a little bit further back, but I do appreciate that. And
So
I
am I.
can,
Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it's all
So I was
comics to
like,
me,
oh, I, I think the comic industry has moved on from me. I'm going to just
Yeah.
do some children's books with my son because I think that's fun. And then at the time, John Malin and I were still working on Graveyard Shift.
Yeah.
And we just thought we'd self-publish it. But then, the thing with Richard Meyer happened with Jawbreakers, and Comicsgate blew up.
Mhm.
And John just, finished crowdfunding Jawbreakers and was like, hey, we can do we have Graveyard Shift ready. We can do it one of two ways. We can launch it under your name, and I'll support it. I'll send out retweets, or we can put it under my name and I'll go set fires everywhere. And I was like, oh, I think you should go set some fires. And things took off from there.
Well, I mean, if we could capture lightning in a bottle, we'd be coming up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every other day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like catching lightning in a bottle, something that just takes off, is not that easy to do, is it?
No. I mean, I could have did, when Graveyard Shift took off, I could have just did a bunch of different versions of Graveyard Shift, but I feel like
Yeah.
that would dilute Graveyard Shift.
Isn't that important though, to follow up one successful IP? If they're clamoring for more, give the fans what they want, right?
Yeah, and we did that. I just meant don't make Graveyard Shift knockoffs with my other with
Mm.
my other
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Once we were done fulfilling Graveyard Shift, we had the second campaign ready to go. So yeah, and the same with Omega Storm is just finishing up fulfillment, and we're launching the next Graveyard Shift on February 1st. So yeah, we always try to have the next campaign ready for people, because we know once they get it and they read it, they're excited for more.
Now, how do you pick the times you launch? Is that just when you're 50% there? Or I saw a lot of early campaigns, they'll put up 4 images and they're not out a lot of time, so they've got the whole project to do, but they'll put up, maybe 4 or 5 images, or starting out. I mean, a couple of years ago, I'd see a lot of that. We want to do this project, and that way, if it didn't take off, it didn't get funded, they didn't have a lot of time invested. They've got 4 pieces of artwork, a cover,
Yeah,
or 2.
well, I mean, we've now hit a point where we know we're going to get funded. We have a big enough fan base with Graveyard Shift that we know it's going to get funded, so we
Right.
can have the artists work ahead of schedule, so we can compile some pages. Graveyard Shifts will be like halfway done before the campaign even launches. So thankfully, from the success of the earlier volumes, it's allowed us to build this room to work on it before we even fund it.
Yeah, the sign up is here. Amanda B dropped the sign up for that, so I believe I've already signed up. I've tried and sign up for some of these projects 3 or 4 times, but it won't let me. I just want, whether I back it or not, I want to at least sign up. It doesn't cost you anything to sign up. JD, any other final thoughts for our guest?
Yeah, I absolutely have to ask. Now, I was kind of listening. I was listening to the stream here in my car on my way, to join you guys. But, the artist on the story that I'm doing, Levi, he knows a billion times more about comics history and stuff like that than I do. So when I heard that, you, Mark, were going to be on the show, I kind of did a little bit of research, but I saw the character in the team that USAssassin is on, Roddy Piper. Where did that come from? That is so awesome that somebody would turn him into a character like that.
Yes. So Roddy Piper was my childhood hero. I loved pro wrestling. I still do. So Hulkamania was huge, but I wasn't into Hulk Hogan. I liked Roddy Piper, the bad guy. Yeah. I think being a quiet kid, the idea of someone who would run their mouth and say whatever was ever on their mind just appealed to me so much. So I always loved Roddy Piper, and back in, I want to say 2017, 2018, there was a Roddy Piper comic book called The Gilded Avenger.
Oh, and yes. I remember that.
A huge supporter of that, to the point where the guys working on it, the artist Eric Hodson, he reached out to me, and he knew I drew. He said, "Hey, can you do a pinup for the book?" I was like, I would love to. And they ended up using it for the back cover. And I kept in contact with Eric, and I said, "Hey, do you think it's possible that I could get Roddy to have a cameo in the book?" And he goes, "I don't see why not. Let me introduce you to his family." So he put me in touch with the family. I pitched my idea to his wife, Kitty, and she loved it. And I got the license to Roddy Piper for Volume 4 of USAssassin. And I mean, I'm on cloud 9. I get to have my childhood hero in my own comic book that I publish. It's the coolest feeling.
And it's also kind of it's almost like having Sergeant Slaughter in G.I. Joe. You got the wrestler in there, but no, that's awesome. So the title that Levi Skeen and I are working on, it's about superheroes is kind of like a meta idea. And so it's basically examining heroes throughout like history. It's about a graveyard for superheroes. And because it's all about heroes, you don't see a lot of villains, but I do have one villain. And it's interesting, as I was writing this villain, Piper's voice would be in my head as I was writing it. So in a way, this is a villain by the name of Jerkface. And because that's basically what Piper was thinking about when he would do his Roddy Piper thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be the biggest jerk I can be when he was being a heel. So it's interesting that I saw that, but
well, I just wanted
to ask about that.
I want to do a Jen Psaki and circle back to this.
Circle back. Yes.
As he was in The Chair, Peter Samedi's played one of the characters that was in The Chair. So he's kind of got a following in this community still. And
I do a horror movie YouTube show, and we just reviewed The Chair last Sunday to tie in with Roddy being in the in U.S. Assassin.
That's a
So,
brutal movie. I have it. That's
it's a
pretty
sadistic
brutal.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, wow, what did he just do? What did he just say?
I've seen like thumbnails of the chair. I've never watched it. I'm going to have to now then.
Yeah.
Mark, what is the name, if I can ask, what is the name of your horror movie review show? Mark?
So I branded it after my book. It's called the Writhe and Pain Horror Movie Club.
Okay, I get it. Okay, cool.
Every Sunday we review a new movie that you can watch for free on Tubi. So about a week in advance, I send out what the movie is.
Tubi's got some great movies and series and stuff on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the chair, the week prior, we did Hell Comes to Frogtown in honor of Roddy Piper as well.
Last question, Mark, because I appreciate you being on a couple hours with us. I almost hate to shut it down, but what makes a good villain? I've been wanting to ask you that because you need to have a good rogues gallery, don't you?
Yeah. So we talk about like horror movie villains every week, and the thing that stands out is the look. I think for me, like Jason, Michael Myers, they all have this identifiable look, and then we'll watch some movies, and like the story's there, the acting's good, but the villain is just kind of meh. Like they didn't put a lot of thought into the visual, and I mean, comics is 100%.
So you think whether it be hero, villain, or maybe a Lois Lane or Perry White, or a secondary character, but could be an Alfred, just as important as the main hero. It's part of the ensemble of the overall book. You're saying it's the visuals.
Yeah, I think so. I think like you need that. I don't know, something that just takes you to that character. Like look at look at Batman's rogue gallery. They all have like a cool look.
Yeah.
I mean, of course the story has to be there. Their origin story. Most villains think they're in the right, but if they just look like an average person, do you really find that character as appealing?
Yeah, it's almost like a visual shorthand. We're talking about horror characters. I mean, Frankenstein's monster from the Universal movies. I mean, if you see a character with a flat head, kind of greenish skin, and then bolts coming out of the neck, that's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Technically it's the monster, but that's what people think of. And you see it everything from like leaf bags, and paper bags and toys and stuff like that. But that look, it's everywhere. It's like an idea that it spreads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's just good branding, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I'm excited about crowdfunding is, you're not just doing books, you're doing those magnets, what'd you call them? Trading cards and what were they? The buddies?
Oh, the Slam Buddies. Yeah.
I remember those, but see, I wasn't on the Slam Buddy train, I wasn't, but I could see where someone your age would. And I knew, people that I knew that had children had these things, and they loved them. And I would have loved them as a kid too. You can't, they're basically a stitched pillow that you can't, hurt too bad, slamming them up against another buddy, and of course I was like you, wrestling was a big thing, growing up. I guess it is, with all kind of kids. I guess comics are kind of boy oriented, aren't they? Not to exclude the women. I know women say we read comics too, but I think statistically speaking, isn't it overall slanted towards guys? Is that changing?
I don't know. I mean, there are some female fans, but I would say it's still predominantly men.
Yeah. Especially with your content. It's like, yeah, Universal Monsters meet the X-Men, G.I. Joe. you're like doubling down on the testosterone.
Yeah. Oh, what's crazy though is my YouTube. So it's a running joke on my YouTube channel. Amanda B is always in the chat, but the analytics show that my YouTube channel is 54% female viewership. We only have Amanda B and my girlfriend in the chat, so I don't know. The rest are lurkers.
Yeah. Well, you never know who's lurking,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on, Mark. I'm not going to grill you too bad the very first time out.
Mark, it's awesome. It's awesome talking to you. Thank you for answering some of my questions here. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you had some apprehension at the very beginning. You kind of alluded that with your very first crowdfunder too, right, Mark? That just kind of comes with the territory till you kind of get settled in.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't think it was fear of crowdfunding. Yeah, I have plans with Missy in a little bit, so I have to take off soon.
Right.
I'm a shy, quiet person, so it took me a while, I guess, to come out of my shell.
Well, don't be a stranger, Mark, and drop a comment in the chat before you leave, so I can give you a wrench. I already gave Missy a wrench. I don't want her to have something over you. I always like to give wrenches to my guests. And hey, George.
Greetings, everybody. Greetings.
Hey, George.
Greetings and salutations.
Yes, it's been a while. Gentlemen, how you doing? All right. I just dropped by to say, Rex, I sent you an image in your Twitter DM. Can you show that off?
I can. Let me see here. Well, Mark drops that comment so I can confer upon him a wrench. Feel free, Mark, to come back and drop any links you want, to your projects. Sometimes I'm remiss and I kind of rotate these things out. There's so many great projects out there, but I assure you, I have been promoting Type 1 and Wrath and Pain, and
I appreciate it.
And trying to get eyes on some of these projects that are worthy of people. I know you've got a good track record. And is that you, Primetime Paul?
Yeah.
You've got more aliases than Clark Kent. All right, let me get this wrench. This darn heart thing's getting in the way. There we go. Add as moderator. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad I could do it. Glad you had the time. Missy, thank you as well for coming by and also for Mark's valuable time. We really appreciate it. All right, let me get over here and get George's drawing.
Oh, speaking of Clark Kent thing, did you see the Project Veritas guy, or the ex-project, or the ex-owner of Project Veritas? He went undercover and questioned his latest subject, and all he was wearing was Clark Kent glasses.
Oh.
They never figured it out.
You would think they would learn, and see him. Oh, wow. There we go.
Whoa.
There's a character he did for me, a modern day mummy.
Oh,
Wasn't expecting the color job. Awesome.
That is awesome.
Hey, Rex, you got the black and whites, right? Black the sketch and the black.
I do.
And white.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me switch that over. I'll just show the black and white.
I was figuring out. So you know what? For $100, I'm going to do this for a year. $100, you get the works.
There's the line art right there. Yeah, you were saying the sunset or whatever was going to be put in on the color phase. So yeah, that's nice stuff.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, that looks great.
All right, let me bring that back. Wait a minute.
And show the sketch where it all started. Oh, actually, no, you even have the rough thumbnails.
Oh yeah, I think you flipped the image, didn't you?
I think
Guys,
so.
I'm going to take off, but the artwork looks great, and thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Mark.
You
Appreciate
bet.
you.
Good talking with you, Mark.
Don't be a stranger.
I won't. Thank you for the wrench. I'll
Or
be
I'll
back
have
now.
to have
Bye.
Mike Barron on, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I like variety.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right,
Thanks.
have a good one.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, so let's go through this. I think the very first thing you probably did was this, right? To pick a pose.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I picked number 1 there, head to toe.
Nice.
Advancing forward. So he gave me options, and then I think you did blue line next, right? And then you flip it and you do on the light table, right, George?
Yeah,
Wow.
I drew that. I sketched it out in a big pen, and then I flipped it over and did the inks, and then I scanned it in and did the colors.
A big pen, JD.
A what? A big pen?
A big pen, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible. That's the only thing I draw with a big pen.
No.
That's
I
wild.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you're comfortable and that's what causes your creative juices to flow, definitely.
No,
But
really.
that's amazing that's a big pen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been drawing with a big pen for 3 decades now, because I once I put the idea down on paper, I don't want to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
So who is this character? If I can ask, if it's going to lead to spoilers, then who is this character? Is this?
This is modern day Mummy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not part of the Devil Flyer universe, or?
Oh yes, it is. He's just
one
character of many. Yeah, that I haven't developed yet fully.
Okay.
So, yeah. I said nobody. Well, in the ash can, he was in the back, in the very back, and so he needed more than just one drawing done of him.
Yes,
I've been trying to get somebody to draw a good Mummy for a while.
that is awesome.
There's the Scooby Doo. There's the, it's kind of like Dracula. A vampire. You can draw it in different ways, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to see George's take on it. So, what do you use to color that with, George?
Yeah.
Illustrator.
And if he says big pen, I'm going to kick him.
Well, I do have a nice range of big pen colors.
I bet you do. Yeah. You probably, like me in school, you had the 4 ink selection.
And you know what? I'm just reaching for it right now.
The red, the blue, the green, and the black.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The 4 up top.
It's right here somewhere. I just gotta find it.
I did some of my first homemade comic books with that. That was my first color job. Was out of one of those things that had all the, let's keep up with.
Son of a
all in one, JD. It matters,
Yes. I remember the first time I saw a teacher had that when I was a kid. It's like, how cool is that? That's 4 colors in one.
You're not kidding me. You're not kidding anyone, JD.
Yeah.
The only reason you noticed that she had your paper and was using red everywhere.
Exactly. Yes. Oh boy.
I love those things. I think they still sell them.
No, they do. They do. I bought a whole bunch of them off of Amazon.
And that was yesterday. That would not surprise me at all. I bought some yesterday. Yeah, they're great, man. Hey, if it works, right?
Definitely.
Son of a gun! I think the kids took my pen.
Oh no!
I love that pen.
Yeah, I'll have to find the other character. He's doing the modern day Mummy is a hero. Now he's got to do a villain,
Oh, hold on a sec. The commission was for one character. What's going on here?
Yeah, I know that.
So Rex, let me ask you about the Devil Flyer universe. I see a lot of it seems like a lot of what you have going on there. You kind of described a little bit about, Writhe and Pain being kind of like the Universal Monsters meets the X-Men. I'm kind of sensing a little bit about there's like monsters, but yet they're heroes with yours as well. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's off the, my original, what I was going to do was my swamp guy, right? Bog?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just artistically trying to lean into my strong suit and what I was most interested in. I had to pick out of this whole Parthenon of characters, a project to do. But I got with John, who drew the Devil Flyer story, and I had pitched him. I just created Devil Flyer in 2017, Bog in 2015. And so I'd been working on him for a couple years, doing a lot of scratch art. I was thinking I want to bring something that looks different artistically, almost like etching, just a different line quality. So I was doing a lot of this scratch art, which I still do. In fact, I did a couple of produced, and they'll probably be up on the campaign, a couple of postcards that I sent out to the comic stores in Canada and here in the United States. I'm not sure if I went any international people, sent out any there. And basically I just got the Overstreet update and got the addresses from the Overstreet update for people that, were in the back of that. And so I sent these postcards out saying coming soon, and back in 2016, 17, I was designing, but I really wasn't getting a return on that. So it was costing me money.
Yeah.
But I did a couple of those, and then I stopped doing those and kind of was working with John on Devil Flyer by that point. And I'd pitched him an idea, and he said, yeah, I'd do it, and then I proceeded for 8 months to pitch him different ideas, sci-fi ideals, just different story ideals. And he was like, no. And it's like, well, there's something he finally, after 8 months, it struck me. There was something he said yes to. That was Devil Flyer, right after I created him. So we I said, well, if I wrote a story, would you do it? And he said yes. So that was up his alley for some reason. So that's how that came about,
There you go.
And so I did the story, and I said, well, it needs a couple more pages. I'm adding a couple more pages while he was still drawing everything, segmented in there, a double page spread. And then he added a couple pages on the end, and he did a pin up, and he did a cover, he did a trading card art. So he got me off to a good start with that. But then, a couple of years ago, it's like, I think, if I'm going to I wanted to jump right into it. We were just about complete with all of it, but I said, it needs more, so I started, I can work in, actually Bog was the last to be added, but one of the first to be turned in by Doc. He did the Grave Tales, which is in the trailer, did a 9-page story that we're very proud of. I hope people really enjoy it. It's kind of got that horror vibe. It's more about the villain really than it is Bog, so I can still go anywhere in, but it's a complete story. But every story is going to, if not in the dialogue, be related somehow to Devil Flyer. With the Grave Tales story, it's pretty much just a self-contained story, but eventually, Bog's going to be rolled right into and meet because there's an imminent threat that's getting closer and closer, and he has to put together this team because Devil Flyer himself cannot defeat this evil. So he's basically putting together a Teen Titans and Avengers, a Justice League, you know,
Right.
team to fight this great evil and stop Armageddon from happening. So that's where, you know, these unrelated stories seem like they're unrelated, but they're not. They're all going to be rolled in to the Devil Flyer story. So I'm going to start out with like 6 stories and then go to 5, 4, 3, 2, and eventually just the Devil Flyer climax with everybody in it.
Nice.
Some heroes and villains. So yeah, and all that's kind of come about over the last couple of years of rethinking my project, you know, and making it better. I had a good, you know, I'm working on a story called The Death of Silver Boa. The whole premise of the whole book is all the stories are told from a future standpoint. There's one story that's told in the slight future, just a few weeks into the future of the momentum present timeline. But there's one story that's 250 years in the future. And that's where you'll get your first look at some characters. I kind of like that because you're in uncharted territory there. You can do just about anything. You know, it'll be the same character, but with slight differences, you know, kind of like a what if or an alternative type thing, and have fun with that. And that's going to be the next one that comes out after this magazine. And then I have one that's in the past, our past, 1959, set in 1959, but it's the character's future. You know, the death of Silver Boa kind of tells it all right there, you know. But does it? See, I originally got, well, spoilers.
Yep. Nope.
Well, let's just say that you haven't seen the end of Silver Boa, even though it's the death of Silver Boa.
Exactly.
And that was always the plan anyway, right? Yeah, introduce the character on his last mission. You know, I thought would be a good way to launch that character, you know, and get him in that book and get him in a book sooner. Some way, you know, you tell any story you want, but doing it in an interesting way. And then also it's really stuck with me recently. I watched a Star Trek commentary, and they were saying, I think it was Star Trek. It might've been, I forget, you know, but anyway, it's a good concept can carry a bad story if you have a good story ideal, you know. Not that I'm trying to tell a bad story, but you know, finding that one hook, that good concept to put in, to build a story, an interesting story around it, you know, that's kind of been rolling around in my head for future stories, because I have multiple projects I'm working on. You know, I'm working on like that Modern Day Mummy was a piece done for the sort of like the Marvel handbook, you know, type thing.
Yes.
Where you get those stats of the characters and things. And that was kind of a no-brainer because I've had a lot of developmental stuff done of characters, you know, and so why not do a handbook? But I think to really get invested in some of these characters, you know, do the magazine, do the momentum future visions that kind of tell the story of them in a future, get plugged into some of these characters, and then you'll want the handbook. You know, you want to see all the characters of the universe, or at least some of them. There's no way I can, you know, put all of them in one book. You know, it'll have to be updated, you know, and freshened up after a while, you know. But I do want to get that in there just for, like, you know, George says, I want to do, let's say Modern Day Mummy. Okay, where's the reference? Okay, here's the handbook.
It was just happenstance. I thought, you know what, this year I'm just going to do $100 for the works. What you saw right there is the works. You know, you know, thumbnails, sketch, ink, color, for $100.
Nice.
There's so many people out there. They're going like, you know, I wish I could get my idea out, but you know, I don't have the money to hire an artist because it's too much. I go like, okay, well, let's try this experiment.
And I said, George, let's double that immediately. Let's have you do me a hero and a villain. That way they can be on, because that's kind of the ideal with the handbook, is a wraparound cover so that I get a lot of characters on there, right? And kind of those handbooks had wraparound covers anyway, at least the Marvel. Well, I guess the DC did as well. The Who's Who. So you got a lot of characters on there, and they're all kind of like running forward or lunging forward, whatever, towards the viewer. And you could do the one villain variant and one hero variant with it, you know. And then if I don't use the artwork on the cover, say George's doesn't quite fit in the collage type, then it'll be used in the interior on the, you know, so I will find a use for it. And then that's a great way, you know. Often a lot of, could you do a cover for me, or could you do a short story, some interior pages? No, I don't have the time. Well, could you do this one image of this character, or maybe like a hero and a villain for me? You know, often artists will find time to do individual characters. So even though I'm paying, you know, if you add it all up, I'm probably paying a lot more to have it done this way, sort of the Marvel collage way, you know.
Yes.
Where you have the Hulk drawn by John Romita, you have Spider-Man by Steve Ditko, you have Kirby doing another character, and they're all kind of, you know, just comped in, you know, on a collage type. That I want that though. I want to see George's work against Hank Ferret, against, you know, Del Keown, whoever. I want to see that. I want to see that mashup, that jam like cover. You know, I want to see that. You know, on a handbook, it makes sense to me. You know, and like I say, you're more apt to working with some artists to get, you know, I'll and you can try, you know, play to the strong suits that they do. Great female women. Hey, you know, do some cheesecake. You know, if you like creatures, hey, I got those too. You know, I just want to get these kind of solidified where I have a reference book so that I can give other artists when they need reference. You know.
Kind of like a show Bible. All the way from Star Trek
for my own reference. I want it for my own reference too, because I draw every character. I design every character. You know, with this one, with George, I was just like, draw me a good mummy. You know.
Yeah, he was lacking a good mummy. I mean, like, he showed me, you know, the stuff he had, and go like, okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
But no, George, what you did with that is what I've seen of yours.
The colors really make it pop.
The colors are huge. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's almost photorealistic. And I know that some people have a tendency to overuse that phrase or that word, but it almost has a Richard Corbin feel to it. I don't know if you would say that.
Very well aware of Richard Corbin.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's got those warm desert colors, you know, that you need, you know.
And very solid shapes.
The right balance with the cooler green, the secondary green, and then you've got the background colors, you know, but it's overall it's warm colors.
Yes.
You know, the coolest deadest look, good color choice, George, you know.
You know, if you can zoom in, you can look at his face. You'll see.
I don't know if I can zoom in on this or not. Nope, I can't do it. Not on this image.
All right, give me a sec. Let me get the image on my end.
No, okay. I'm
I'd love to see a close up of it.
I also like that you chose, George, green and not blue for the skin, because it's like yellow and blue.
Yellow, blue, right?
You see it all the time.
Exactly, but it's like turquoise green, you know.
Yes.
How long you been using Bic? Decades. I mean,
all my life, right here. You know, it's like.
Yeah,
big. That's blue.
But I mean, you're not doing it in pencil. You're doing it in ink initially, right?
Yeah. It's all ink.
Yeah. Now that kind of forces you to be not any corrections. That's what I was kind of doing with the scratch art. You can't erase that. You scratch it out. It's going to leave a mark when you print it, and then you have to be careful with that stuff because you can accidentally scuff it and. You know, and affect the artwork. So you kind of have to treat that with kid gloves. I know why people aren't doing it, but it forced me to make the correct line that I wanted initially, because there is no erasing. I like a good challenge.
Yeah, no, me, I always sketch and pen, always.
Mhm.
You bringing that up for me, George, so we can
right
zoom
now,
in?
right now.
Okay. All right, there we go. There, make it a
Oh
little
my
bit bigger.
gosh! Wow. Ah.
All right,
See,
go back to the face, George. I think.
Oh wow.
Originally, I was gonna do the line all in black, right? I'll show
Right.
you what was just pure black, but then
Right.
it just stuck out too much.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
See,
I like the softer look. Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't feel like it was sticking out.
Yeah. I mean, this way he becomes part of the environment.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him more 3D, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's a little bit more flat.
Yep, more illustrative.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the softer look. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's working digitally, it's nice to have both options, right? To kind of view both options.
Yeah, and the background is a collage of what we call. I went to different image websites. I found pyramid backgrounds and all that stuff.
Well, due to George's faulty memory, we all heard it here. He doesn't want to do another character for me. So
no, I'll do it. I'll do it if the price is right.
I thought we had that established, but apparently not. Anyway, Blue Viper was going to be the next character he was going to work on.
Show me.
Okay, I'll have to find it in the stack. I think I got it in a short stack, which became a long stack when I stacked stuff up.
Two $100 commissions.
I'll have to look.
Okay.
I said let's double up, man. I need a hero and a villain. And actually, this is the hero. Believe it or not.
No way.
My Mummy. Yeah, I don't know if you tried to.
Oh, by the way,
Marvel had the Living Mummy.
Oh, yeah,
so
right, exactly. Yeah, man. Val Merrick. Hell yeah.
I drew it in the 2:3 ratio, so it can absolutely fit as a trading card.
Oh, that's cool. Yep. I can see that.
Good. Yeah. And the good thing is, a lot of my stuff I do, I could give him one from the old days, like here's the jokester, but I don't know, man.
It's all right.
Yeah. He's got that whirlwind helmet that everybody hates, but I like the whirlwind. Sue me. Yeah. All right. I'll have to show you, George, off screen here.
Okay.
This is ultra secret stuff, right?
Okay.
All right, let's end the stream now.
It'll just take me a minute. What'd he say?
He was just saying thank you. Yep.
Yeah. Just okay. Thank you for everybody being here. Let's end the stream.
Right. And JD says, say the thing, somebody, so I don't have to. Of course, Perry get on to me if I don't say it. Keep collecting. Okay.
Right. I will remember that.
Yeah. Keep collecting. Keep reading, and keep watching the stars. And I'll keep my eye on George.
Gosh.
Oh, God.